Well, a lot of people probably be surprised. Our attitude for these last two games was, we have to win these two to get into the tournament. You know, now we know to get into the tournament, in our minds, we have to make a deep run in this ACC tournament. If we don't, in our minds, we'll probably be in the NIT again. I don't know how the selection committee will look at it, but that's at least what we're thinking.
Does that give you some concern feeling if you had to win those last two to cement your case and it didn't quite happen? I mean, are you worried about confidence level then in the DC?
I'm not. Hopefully no one else in the team's confidence has went down in us. I still believe we can make it far. We just got to fix some of the mental mistakes that we make during periods of game. We have to have an urgency about us through the entire game and not just bits and pieces.
We talked about it the other day after the game a little bit, but in the last two games, I think you guys are 3 of 32 from the three-point line. I mean, that's a big reason why you were 0-2. How do you fix that? I mean, obviously you get in the gym and shoot it, but I mean, once the game starts, it's different than being in the gym. How do you fix that so you can get back on track?
Well, when I went back and watched the Virginia Tech game, there was a couple times where people would be open, and we would miss them initially when they were open, and then we would throw it to them late, and they would still shoot it like very contested. And then against Georgia Tech, it was like, say I would drive and I'd kick out, whoever I was kicking out to wouldn't be ready to shoot, so they'd have to gather it up and then shoot it, which isn't a good shot. So we just kind of have to get back to being ready to shoot. That would probably help more, being shot ready as opposed to, catching it and then thinking, like, rather than just catching it and then doing it rather than catching it, like, oh, should I shoot it? Should I drive? Like, we got to start getting back to being more confident in our shots. I feel like we're thinking too much about it rather than just letting it go.
Speaking of confidence, playing Syracuse, you've beaten twice this year, 4 in a row. Does that help?
We beat Virginia Tech and we beat Georgia Tech. I mean, and then we lost to them. So this game is it's a little different. The intensity level is always picked up for Syracuse for some reason. We've had their number for the past 2 years. Just got to go out there and play. Just got to go out there and play hard. Chances are Jamel will probably have a big role in this game, but we need everyone to play good. It can't just be one or two people. It has to be everyone. We've seen that the last couple games. Like, it has to be a concerted team effort.
The success against Syracuse, is that something you almost kind of have to put out of your mind, considering it's if you lose, you're done?
Yeah. I mean, like, when I was in high school, we played Quaker Valley the first time. We blew them out. The second time, it was a little bit closer game, but we still blew them out the third game. And, we're like the number one team in the state, and they almost beat us. Like, we took the lead with like 2 minutes left in the game. And a little bit of it was, we beat them so easily the first 2 times that we just kind of was like, yeah, we'll get them. We'll get them. So we just we have to think of it as like, right at this point, we're one and done. We don't have time to, sit there and think like, oh man, it's Syracuse. No, it's always a different team every time you go out there, especially when you've already beaten the 2 teams. And after what Boeheim said after the last game, I'm sure some players on his team are really going to be anxious to play us.
You mentioned a minute ago, shot ready. Is that a matter of focus? Guys being focused on the task at hand?
Yeah. At times we can, the ball can kind of find itself staying on one side of the court with us as opposed to getting on both sides. And sometimes that'll cause players to just like stand there and like not be ready, But, you always have to be ready, always. So especially like, when someone's driving, you have to be ready to knock the shot down. And our problem is sometimes we're not ready. So if me or Mike drive, everybody else collapses down. They're not ready. It's a problem.
A lot
Sheldon had a big game against you guys last time, 21 points. What does he do well that made him so successful the second half of the season?
Boeheim really put him in like good places to score. He really did. The first game, they really weren't using the pick and pop as much, or I think we at least guarded it better. The second game, they really, he really spaced us out. And then when we did the pick and pop, it was such a long recovery that he was getting a lot of open shots. Then he was just feeding off of that. So if we can just limit his open shots, I feel like that'll be the success to slowing him down.
With that big and pop game, is it a matter, you or Mike or whoever that's marking him, when he sets that screen, is it a matter of you guys maybe not hedging as hard and maybe staying a little more attached to him, or quick switches ahead?
Well, more like I said, the first game their spacing wasn't as good. So when they would set the screen, it was close enough where whoever not the hedge guy, we call it the rush guy could
Right.
get to Lyden, and the hedge guy could get back to the big under the basket. And it worked quickly. In the second game, the floor was completely spaced, so you had to go to the completely opposite side of the court as opposed to just running right up the lane.
So your help guy can get there in time.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll figure something out for him.
Anything else?
If you guys were going into a game against a team that had been struggling from three-point range like you guys have been, would that change your mindset on defense? Would you think, oh, we're just going to hang back and let them see if they can beat us?
Well, when I was at Vanderbilt and we played Kentucky in a SEC tournament, we had lost to them 2 times during the season. And that was the year they really weren't a good shooting team. And Stallings, that day in practice, he walked out and put a bubble like a little bit under the three-point line. And he was like, this is the bubble. We're not going around it. And they can't get inside of it. We're going to force them to make shots. So I don't think Syracuse would do that to us because we're still good shooters. But I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of played back a little bit for the first half.